The Lac qui Parle County Fair did not start here in Madison. It started out in Lac qui Parle Village. The first fair was in 1873, and then in 1886 it moved to Madison.
Well, it's hard to wrap your mind around 150 years. That's a very long time ago. It was the country was barely past the Civil War when the fair started here. So I can't even wrap my own mind around that. But it feels good to be involved in something that's been going for so long.
In the late 19th century and early 20th century, county fairs played two primary roles. I think the first was, yes, it was a social gathering for people who might not have opportunity to socialize in other places. But the second purpose, and I think the most important purpose, was its educational purpose. County fairs were a way to disseminate information to the rural population and to farmers. So the latest agricultural trends or new machinery or innovations in hybrid seeds or anything like that, that kind of information was featured at county fairs. And so this is the way for rural populations to learn and to be educated about advances in agriculture. The University of Minnesota Extension Service came into being in 1909. So they didn't need fairs to be so much educational, and so their purpose shifted to more entertainment. And so you see the rise of a lot more entertainment acts coming to fairs. And as fairs become more of an entertainment affair, the type of entertainment changes. You also see these entertainment acts bringing in the latest technology, which is also a reflection of the larger culture. So, for example, at the 1890 Lac qui Parle County Fair, a hot air balloonist is featured for the first time, and this is a novel thing.
Airplanes were just coming on back at that time out in our local little areas, so that was a very highly thing for people to be able to see.
Some of these acts were, I guess, maybe crazy by today's standards and would probably violate every safety code and OSHA standard that exists. I don't know if we could do these anymore, but you would have acts like at the Lac qui Parle County Fair where you have an airplane and a race car racing each other around the track, and then the airplane would drop a rope ladder and the stunt driver from the car would ascend the rope ladder to the airplane. Crazy stuff like that. And yes, sometimes there were crashes. Accidents did happen. I never really heard of one where somebody died, but there would be horrific, this is an era before seatbelts too and all these other safety precautions. So by today's standards, these were very risky acts, but I suppose that added to the air of excitement. In the late 19th century, one of the popular features of the fair were these contests they would hold. And so at every fair, they would hold contests for tallest man, prettiest baby, dirtiest man, homeliest woman, things like this. These were real. And nowadays, we would consider that completely maybe tacky or rude or just socially unacceptable. Really? We're having a contest for the dirtiest man and the homeliest woman, and people are participating? But yeah, these were very popular, and the prizes they would give were very interesting too. So for like the dirtiest man, the prize was bars of soap. For the handsomest woman, hair ribbons. For the fattest woman, real contest, a dishpan. So sometimes they would give like the oldest man a box of cigars, things like that. So contests, not necessarily popularity contests, but contests were a very prominent feature of the late 19th century fairs. But as we move into the 20th century, they are noticeable for their absence. They did not survive long into the 20th century.
Out of our office, we've got a few unique things. We've got a poster here that was given to us. I believe it's 1943. We had acrobats. We had a circus. We had Andy's Circus. We had the Flying High Review livestock sale. Horse show was big back then. Horse racing, the pace race, and what paid $225 to win. The finest display of livestock in western Minnesota: horses, cattle, chickens, hogs, sheep. Big women's department, and admission was 50 cents, and you could park your auto for 25 cents. And still, just like we are now, kids under 12 are free. This one is from 1965. Back in the day, they used to give away a car. They sold tickets and gave away a car. That was this one. This was 63, I'm sorry. Different entertainers again. We had a dog show, acrobats, auto racing and stock car racing have always been big. We've got a couple of very unique photos that we've had on the walls, well, ever since I've been here. This would be right north of the grandstand. This would be like where the Faith Lutheran lunch stand is right now. Our wildlife building is, I believe, this one right here. And it's from back in the 1920s. If you look at it closely, well, everybody has a suit on. All the guys have suits on. Ladies have long dresses. The kids are all dressed up. It was a big event back then. Still is today. And this was probably from the same time frame. This is still our cattle barn back here, and our fair board office sits here. Cargill is right over here now.
James J. Hill was a railroad man. He was invited here because the railroads were very important back at that time. These towns would not have existed if it wasn't for the railroads going through. Haul the products in and out for people. We didn't have the big trucks and those kind of things like we do today to haul things. Railroads were exceedingly important. Another thing that was here at the county fair that was really exciting for people, there was a gentleman by the name of Cedric Adams who was out here to the county fair. Now, Cedric Adams was a news broadcaster of WCCO out of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I think everybody listened to Cedric's news in the evening back at that time, and he was out to the county fair. I know that was a big hit for the people to have Cedric Adams come to the Lac qui Parle County Fair.
Listen at 10 o'clock tomorrow night when North American Life and Casualty Company will bring you Cedric Adams and the news.
It was really interesting back in the early 1900s, around 1909, 1910, back in that time. There were baseball games that were played at the Lac qui Parle County Fair. And all the local towns, had baseball teams. And there would be baseball games that were played by different towns at the Lac qui Parle County Fair. Later than that, we also have to recognize that the first football game under the lights was played at the Lac qui Parle County Fairgrounds, and it was Madison versus, I believe it was Watertown, South Dakota. Unfortunately, Madison lost, but that was a beginning of something that really expanded in the state of Minnesota and is still there today.
Entertainment companies that would come in and provide the midway rides or the midway acts sometimes would supply additional acts that were not necessarily advertised. I remember coming across references to obscene sideshows were a problem at some of these county fairs. And it was brought to the attention of the fair board that certain entertainment companies were providing obscene sideshows, perhaps like burlesque dancing or illegal gambling was going on. And the fair board, once that was brought to the fair board's attention, they would try to crack down on all these obscene sideshows that were going on, or the illegal gambling that was taking place, and asking people to report them, and they would be investigating different companies. Sometimes then they would advertise the next year that this is a family-friendly carnival company that would come in, emphasizing that they were trying to eliminate some of these obscene sideshows and questionable lewd acts that were also brought in by the Midway companies.
Some of the early things that were at the fairs were racing, and it was horse racing at that time, those kind of things earlier. And then as motors developed and those kind of things, and the fairgrounds expanded, got bigger, and more people came, it was horse racing, and then now it's generated all into car racing. And so that's very predominant now, people like motors.
I'm running down the road, baby.
On Saturday, we have our demo derby. In the 20 years that I've been on, we've only been rained out once. It draws competitors from North Dakota, South Dakota, southern Minnesota. It's a lot of fun. It brings people out.
There was a section of years back, I believe it was in the 20s, where every year at the county fair there would be things built. They were made of corn cobs with the corn on them. Corn was a very predominant agricultural product during that time, and so that's where the realization of corn was at the county fair. Basically, it was called the Corn Palace. There'd be all the predominant people in the fair would have their picture taken at the Corn Palace and all that. It was really a highlight of the fair back at that time. We have been called, because we're the last fair in the state of Minnesota. Every other county fair, we are the last one, and all other county fairs are basically done before Labor Day weekend, but ours is after, and that's very much tradition here. And somewhere back, and I don't know exactly where, we became called the Little Minnesota State Fair. I think we probably adopted that name ourselves.
We absolutely hope the fair goes for another 150 years. It's been a part of everything we do here is with that in mind, with the future in mind. We make a lot of decisions based on not just the upcoming fair, but fairs to come after that. We'd like to leave the fair healthier and more vibrant than when I got on, and I hope the people that come after me have the same goal.
I think the county fairs that continue for over 100 years, over the century, over the decade, it's been for a number of reasons. Those that do, I think, have changed with the changing times. They're really willing to change. When they see that one type of entertainment is no longer drawing in the crowds, they'll figure out what is, and they'll change what kind of acts they bring in. Another thing is strong community support. You have to have strong community support to keep your county fair going. And those counties that have histories of strong financial support, a sense of volunteerism, people will go to the fairgrounds, work at the fair, they'll donate the construction materials for new buildings. The stronger the community support, the stronger your county fair is.
The fair in Lac qui Parle County is almost like a gathering point. Yes, we see generations of people, grandparents, parents, kids, even great-grandparents. We see all that here at the fair. But the fair has become, even as our county has maybe gotten a little smaller over the years, population-wise, it's become a bit of a gathering point. People come back here that were from here. They come back to enjoy the fair. Class reunions are scheduled around the fair. A lot of folks come out just to experience a small town fair. They come back to see people from here that they maybe haven't seen since the last fair. It really becomes a very well-attended event for those reasons, just as a gathering point for people to come see people that they haven't seen for a while.
Visit pioneer.org/postcards to catch up on missed episodes and to find out more about your favorite segments. This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yekel-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. Live Wide Open, a regional movement that encourages people to make a great life for themselves in west central Minnesota. More at livewideopen.com. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com.